Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start with a safety announcement before I properly greet you once again.
To UJ facilities, please take note of the following safety message.
During an emergency, the alarm will be activated.
On hearing the alarm, evacuate through the nearest escape doors indicated by way of signage. Follow the safety signs to the assembly point.
Protection services staff, safety officers, and marshals will assist with the evacuation.
Assist people with disabilities.
Do not use lifts at any time during the evacuation.
Report any person injured or trapped to protection services.
Stay at the assembly points till instructed to leave.
UJ Management wishes you a safe stay at UJ.
Thank you very much. I do notice that I look good today. And how I know I look good is because everyone else greets me differently. You know, some of them sort of acknowledge my second name, which is Johannes, Your Highness. And I notice that, no, something is different today. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, members of the University Council, Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Letlhokwa Mpedi, MEC members, ELG, faculty and staff, VCs of other universities, government officials, and their leadership, students, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's really my great pleasure to welcome you to this public lecture, to this moderated conversation on behalf of the great University of Johannesburg. University of Johannesburg is affectionately known by some of us as UJ, is among the youngest universities in South Africa. This year, this university celebrates its 21st anniversary. The university has been visionary in both its actions and dreams. As an international university of choice, anchored in Africa and the global south, and dynamically shaping a sustainable future. At UJ, we want to be part of the creators of that sustainable future. Today, we are privileged to host a distinguished guest whose contribution to global dialogue on technology, on leadership, on economic development, on innovation and the future of society has an undeniable immense impact. The famous words of his presentation in 2016, introducing the fourth industrial revolution, shall forever be remembered. I don't know how many presentations I looked at, and they always started with those words. And those words were, we stand on the brink of technological revolution that will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another. Over the past 10 years, we have lived in that dream. We have talked about it. We have seen the impact of it. Some of us who have even studied AI and others have been, even ourselves, surprised by the great gains that have taken place. So today, we are honored to welcome, highly honored to welcome Professor Klaus Schwab to our university. And I'm told that also I must not forget to welcome your better half, Madam Hilda Schwab. Thank you very much. Many of us here will never have the privilege of going to Davos, Switzerland, either because we are too poor, we don't have money, we haven't worked hard enough or long enough, but today what we have done at the great University of Johannesburg is to bring a piece of Davos, Switzerland to you. So today, as you sit there, you are having the opportunity of meeting some of the world's best talent and to be in a meeting with someone of the stature of Prof. Klaus Schwab. Today we are here and we see the man himself. I was thinking about what's going to happen in the future with augmented reality, with virtual reality. You know, you probably could meet him in that space and so on and so forth. But I want to say to you, today you are meeting him in person. So if you are putting a diary, you can put it in that today I was in the presence of greatness and include Prof. Mashao on that list of. There is a saying that I liked, and I really thought of it yesterday. It says, if the mountain won't come to Mahomet, then Mahomet must go to the mountain. So I see today we have moved a piece of Davos, Switzerland, to us here at the University of Johannesburg, and I think that is a great achievement. Johannesburg, the city of gold, has actually a very short history, because this year, 2026, Johannesburg will be 140 years old. And I used technology, I Googled, and I realized that when Johannesburg was 50 years old, Klaus Schwab was born. So, you know, he could have been here over that time to tell you about the developments that are taking place in Johannesburg. In case you don't know, he is 88 years old. So this city of Johannesburg has given birth to a country, literally to a country, to South Africa, because it was a finding of gold that has made many differences and made people to move into Johannesburg, and also has produced something that we hold dearly to, which is the fantastic University of Johannesburg. And I'm very proud to have used that word first time, you know, fantastic. University of Johannesburg. It is an immense privilege that we gather today to engage with a global thought leader of note, whose work has shaped conversations and the future of the human species. As part of my research, I went on the website to see how many people are alive today. And at the time I looked at the website, at 4 a.m., we were 8.295 billion people on this planet. And today, according to the estimates, we are going to grow our population by 100,000, about 52,000 times 2. That is going to happen. So the things we are talking about, the discussions we are talking about, we need to be thinking about these 8.3 billion people who are on this planet today, who are affected by our decisions, who are going to be affected by technology. And it's really an honor that we put our minds together and have a conversation about what is happening. I'm impressed when I look at artificial intelligence and think about the growth that is possible, because it's just a tool. You know, it was Homo habilis, the first human species, that started making tools. And if you look at the tools that Homo habilis made, they were always to extend either the hand or the foot. But now, when you are looking at artificial intelligence, we are even extending our own thinking. And that is supposed to be revolutionary. So all growth will be taking place and has been made possible by this. Today, I want to say to Prof. Schwab, we have brought in our staff, students, and literally the whole of South Africa to come and listen to this conversation. There will be colleagues who will linger after these discussions to tell us more about what they have learned. I thought I could speak about that as a program director, but I must add a little bit about myself, because in case you didn't notice, I never introduced myself, and I want to take the opportunity of introducing myself. My name is Daniel Johannes Mashao. I'm the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment at UJ. This is the largest faculty of engineering and the built environment in South Africa. I come from Atteridgeville. I'm not like those who come from Mamelodi. 10 kilometers west of Pretoria. They are 20 kilometers east of Pretoria. Just a joke. And I am the first black South African to get a PhD in engineering in 1996. I studied my PhD at Brown University, Providence, Rhode Island, and I did my PhD on artificial intelligence, although then we called it Markov chains and neural networks. I serve this today as a program director, but just a little bit about myself. When I started my degree on speech recognition, I really thought we were going to solve the problem of speech recognition in 2 years. I thought in 2 years flat, we will be able to solve this problem. When I finished 5 years later, I thought we will never solve this problem because it looks such as a very difficult challenge. I'm amazed today to see what the systems can do and what technology have done. And I think the honor that we have today to come and listen to the great man himself, Professor Klaus Schwab, and to hear how did he get to where he is. As I said, this is going to be a moderated conversation, so we are going to give an opportunity to Prof. Klaus to speak. I have been asked to say a little bit of a biography about Prof. Klaus Schwab. I used to travel a lot as a chief technology officer at the state IT agency before I came to UJ. And one of the things I did, one of the lines I had, is that if I go to a different country, the first thing I ask the people, to be friendly and nice, and how many people are here? What do you do? What do people eat? And lately, that question, I cannot ask it anymore. I cannot ask it anymore because I guess in some other cases, I know more about that country than the people there. Because you go on Wikipedia, you learn so much about what is the GDP, what do people earn, what do they eat, and I don't have that question to ask anymore. So when I was asked to speak about Prof. Schwab, I was thinking, hey, what am I going to tell them? They are already having access to Wikipedia, but I tried and I did something, and I want to go through it. And the article that I just wrote, I just wanted you to know he's a mechanical engineer, an economist, and more importantly, the founder of the World Economic Forum. He has been chairman of this forum for over 54 years, which, ladies and gentlemen, is a long time. I wonder how many people are over 54 years, but if you are not over 54 years, he was a chairman of the World Economic Forum before you were born. And over those 54 years, he's an author of many books. I'm pretty sure you will hear about it today: The Intelligent Age, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, and the latest one, universities, professors, students, and in the intelligent age, a call for system change. He was professor of business policy at University of Geneva from 1972 to 2003. Professor Klaus Schwab has many honors, too numerous to mention. Wikipedia lists at least 10 books. He is a father and son. He's a father of a son and daughter, and that was important to me, Prof. Schwab, because I know that you care about the world after even 100 years, because you are leaving behind other people who have to enjoy it, that the world has to be sustainable and a living earth. I am concluded my piece. I am now going to open for the session where we have a conversation between Prof. Letlhokwa Mpedi and also Prof. Klaus Schwab. They have questions that they will discuss with us, and It's a new way of doing a public lecture, but thank you very much, Prof. We really appreciate it. I hope I made you feel special today, that you are in the presence of greatness. You can add me at the end of that list. Thank you very much, Prof. Yeah, thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Your Highness Mashao. We had two options, ladies and gentlemen. One of a public lecture, and you come, you sit and listen, and then three people ask questions, and then we have something to eat and you go home. And another option, we sit here and we have a number of questions and we engage with Prof. Klaus Schwab, and then we engage, and then we engage, and then we engage. And then we have something to eat and you go home. And then eventually we thought, and we get more people in a bigger venue. That's why we changed the venue to this one. And we thought, well, it's not always that we host Prof. Klaus Schwab. So we thought, let's have this option and then have more people. And I hope that you are happy with this option. And when we had our conversation with Prof. Klaus Schwab earlier, he said, I still have my speech. And he thought, no, we have more people. Let's have a chat. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to welcome Prof. Klaus Schwab here at the great University of Johannesburg. As you have heard from Prof. Mashao, Prof. Klaus Schwab is the founder of the World Economic Forum and the Schwab Academy, which Prof. Mashao forgot to mention. And he's, as many of you will know, the author of a landmark book series on the intelligent age. For more than 5 decades, ladies and gentlemen, Prof. Schwab has been one of the world's most insistent voices for a capitalism that serves all humanity. I had to mention this. As you know, here at the great University of Johannesburg, we talk about societal impact and sustainability, that everything that we do must have a positive impact on the society. So this capitalism is not just about shareholders, it's about humanity. Today, ladies and gentlemen, he joins us to share his thinking on where we are heading and how we can shape the journey. Professor Schwab, welcome to the great University of Johannesburg.
Thank you very much.
If I may start, with my list of questions, I've got quite a few. I want to start with the intelligent age. People talk about artificial intelligence age. Now we talk about the digital age. Apologies. Now the intelligent age. Prof. Schwab, you have spent more than 5 decades observing economic and technological transformation. What made you decide that we are now entering something qualitatively different, an intelligent age, and not simply the next chapter of the 4th Industrial Revolution?
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor Petty. And let me first say how happy I am. I am here because having been for 32 years a professor.
Just 1 second. Apologies. I don't think the... can you pick up the sound? Oh, the sound is fine now. Okay, thanks. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Let me first say how happy I am to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Apologies, Prof. Are we ready, technical team?
Okay now?
We apologize for this small glitch.
You see, in 20 years, we would have implants, and everybody would have implants, so we would communicate directly. No, thank you again, Vice Chancellor and Principal. It's a great honor to be here, and I feel at home having been for 32 years professor, and I'm missing very much such audiences. So I'm glad to be here at the university. I have to say, with the Schwab Academy, I'm presently looking at a consortium of leading global universities, and I have seen how much the University of Johannesburg has progressed. Congratulations. You have to be proud of what you have achieved. Now, coming back to your question, I wrote the book, as you said, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, and it coined a kind of new thinking about the new technologies. And it was a success, the book. I published it in 2016. And it was a success, and of course with artificial intelligence, the publishers came back to me and said, why don't you write a new edition? And I was thinking about it, and I felt it. What we are experiencing now is not anymore a technological revolution.
Right.
It's much more. And if we look at the evolution of humankind during the last 2 centuries, we had 150 years ago, we had the transition of humankind from the agricultural to the industrial age. And then it changed everything. And then we had the transition from the industrial age to the digital age. Again, many changes, I mean, social media and so on. But it was in addition to the industrial age. And now it's not just artificial intelligence. It's a transition to a completely new age, which I call the intelligent age. Of course, it will be very much dominated by artificial intelligence, but there are other technologies. Quantum computing. I could enumerate probably 20 different technologies, and they all will combine to change everything we are doing now, how we live, how we communicate. So our economies, our societies, and so on. It's fascinating. But the issue is, when we look back at the first transformation from the agricultural to the industrial age, we had about 3 generations to digest the change and to master the change. And now we have probably, I would say probably 10 to 15 years to come to grips with and to use the opportunities and to master the challenges of artificial intelligence and all the other technologies. So everybody is speaking about artificial intelligence, but it's much more. Yeah. It's a new intelligent age.
Wow. Your first book in the Intelligent Age series focuses on leadership and purpose. What does it mean in concrete terms to thrive in this age? And is it a realistic ambition for the majority of people, not just the elite?
Yes, of course. What is leadership in this new age? And I think we are going in an age where let's go back to the industrial age. What does the industrial age do? It replaced our physical activities by the machine. What is the intelligent age doing? It is replacing our cognitive capabilities by algorithm, by all what we call now artificial intelligence. So what does it mean for leadership? And I think, you may be surprised, we have to do exactly in terms of leadership thinking the contrary of what technology is doing. In order to master this new intelligent age, we have to remind ourselves much more what creates really a human being. what makes us human? So my whole concern at the moment is, how can we create a counterweight to the technological development, to this, let's say, development which is escaping to a certain extent already our control? How can we create a counterweight which has to be humanism? It has to be our, let's say, ethical, our moral. What makes us really human beings?
Wow. What makes us really human beings? Let's move on to your second book. The first book in this series is Thriving and Leading in the Intelligent Age. Let's move on to the second, Longevity and Retirement in the Intelligent Age. I mean, focusing on longevity, a deeply personal subject as well as a societal one. Now, you have written that we should rethink retirement altogether. What is the vision you propose to replace it?
I think, of course.
Or you propose to replace it?
Yeah. When you have my age, I would have, normally, at least in Switzerland, I would be retired since 23 years. So I would have lost 23 years if I had been not active.
Yeah.
So I was asking myself, we are now entering an age where probably we can even extend longevity. I mean, if I go back, when I started the World Economic Forum, 71, so it's a little bit more than 50 years, I think I take Switzerland as a sophisticated, highly developed country. At that time, life expectations was 72, 73. Today, it's 83, 84, 85 for women and 82 for men. So the reason why I wrote this book is, how do we prepare for an age where people live much longer?
Yeah.
And here, my theory was, we have to stop with this thinking of, you have three phases in your life. You have first the life which is, let's say, your youth and education. Then you have your professional life.
Yeah.
And then you have retirement
You're
life.
tired. Stay at home.
We have to make sure that when we are retired, we have a purposeful life.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not, I mean, I have seen so many people who said, oh, I'm looking forward to be retired, then I will do finally what I like to do. And then they became retired and they were the most unhappy people because they had first to find out what they like to do.
Yeah.
Now you have, if you want to prepare for retirement, as I see, I mean, you are not yet, you are all youngsters, so you are not yet thinking about retirement. But the thesis of the book is, you have to see your life as one entity. And when you reach retirement, you have to know what is actually the purpose of your life. And then you have one guiding line across your whole life.
Yeah. I mean, in some societies with the aging population, I don't want to appear like I'm shaming some nations. There's a friend who's privileged to own a university, at one of the countries in Asia, who was telling me that where they recruit, their target market is the people who have reached the retirement age. They even have a discount, and people are starting new careers. Somebody completes his career as an engineer and starts studying law, and after 4 years now becomes a top lawyer. So the second career. So this is not a bad idea.
No, it's a great idea. I think I use it as a key word which fascinates me. It's the word of adaptability.
Yes.
If you want to succeed in the intelligent age, The key word is adaptability. But combined with adaptability is also, I would say, resilience. Because adaptability means always to adjust, to change. And now, what is happening? And let me maybe add a philosophical, not really philosophical, but consideration. The world is changing so fast today. And the world has become so interdisciplinary, so complex, that people do not really understand anymore what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's, by the way, a big issue also for political leaders, because it creates in many people the frustration which we see everywhere. Because we feel we are not anymore in control of what's happening. And I think and I come back to the word adaptability, I think we have to accept that we are living in a very fluent, in a very fast changing, exponentially changing world. And that we may be not anymore completely in control of ourselves, but we have to learn to adapt very much to this changing world. And that's particularly also to adapt to retirement age.
Wow. Adaptability and resilience. Let's move on to book number 3, Restoring Truth and Trust. I mean, truth and trust, these words now, these days, truth and trust, so this is, they're like a scarce commodity. We live in the world of accelerating disinformation, polarization, and what many call epistemic crisis. Now, in your third book, you argue that truth and trust have become the defining fault lines of our time. How did we arrive here, and is recovery genuinely possible, Prof. Schwab?
I think the real turning point was when we entered the digital age. 25 years ago with social media. And combined with what I just say, this, let's say, growing frustration which we feel about how things develop because we don't understand them anymore. So when you are in a world which needs interpretation, and you have many different interpretations, so you ask yourself, where is the truth? And then, of course, the danger is that you are caught in, let's say, echo chambers in the social media. So today, the problem is we don't have any more common truths. We can have different opinions about one truth. I think that's exactly the academic objective, to establish one truth. Today, there are so many different truths, and everybody believes it's the truth. So if we lose this capability to define a common truth, then we lose the trust, because trust is based on truth.
Yeah.
And so your question at the end was how
did we arrive here? And is recovery genuinely possible?
Yeah, maybe here artificial intelligence can help, because with artificial intelligence you have many more capabilities to find out what truth is. I mean, if I go today to Claude or to ChatGPT or whatever it is, if I make the necessary efforts, I can find out what the truth is. And I'm not caught in one of the echo chambers of social media.
Wow. Let's move on to book number 4. I smile when I talk about book number 4, Universities, Professors, and Students in the Intelligent Age. It looks like this. We initially thought we'll only talk about it, but now we've gone broad, ladies and gentlemen, because I think it was a Sunday, I got an email from Professor Klaus Schwab. I was smiling ear to ear with an attachment to review a book that was still to be published. And I was smiling. I was like, he knows me. I am Professor Klaus Schwab, the founder of the world. I said, I know you. Very polite, of course. To cut a long story short, because we don't have much time, to cut a long story short, it was a great honor and a privilege to review this book. And I'm right there at the bottom, not at the bottom because I'm not important. Okay, I'm one of the people acknowledged as the people who provided the blurb, having reviewed the book. It was just a great honor, and what a fascinating book. And in this book, Prof, this one is your most recent book. I'm sure there's more to come, knowing how hardworking you are. I mean, this book is directed at us, university leaders, educators, institutions of higher learning. What is the systems change you are calling for? And why is higher education, in particular, at the center of your Intelligent Age project?
I'm just quite asking myself, how can I summarize something which I wrote about it?
Or they must just go and buy and read the book.
No, I can summarize it. I mean, it's a system change.
Yep.
It's not just change in one specific area. It's like entering into the intelligent age is a societal system change, but one of the specific aspects is also a systemic change of how we learn and what we learn.
Yep.
Now, the traditional, let's say, task of the universities was to transmit knowledge which was created usually in the past to the next generation, to enable them to add new knowledge and to use the existing knowledge in their professional activities. But today, there are two new elements. First, the knowledge which you learn today is probably out of fashion in 5, 6, 7 years and so on. That's number one. And number two, you don't have to go to university anymore. For each knowledge question, you can go to Claude, you can go to ChatGPT or whatever. I mean, knowledge is around us and is free of charge.
Yep.
So what does it mean? Should you invest 4 years to learn something which you can read on your iPad, real time, whenever you need it, instead of being loaded with knowledge of maybe 90% you don't need in your professional activities? So, first of all, I think universities have to think about not only to transmit knowledge, but to transmit particularly or to teach the capabilities to use knowledge. And here I see, we discussed it already, universities should focus much more on the human dimension, so that we can integrate the knowledge which we absorb via artificial intelligence and so on into a humanistic framework. That's number one. And number two, universities should teach much more the capabilities, which I would say the leadership capabilities which we need in this new intelligent age. So it's moving from learning for life to lifelong learning. Universities should not see in the future the 4 or 6 years or whatever it is on which they concentrate. Universities should become should become the stimulator of, they should be at the center of a learning system which is lifelong, and they should feed this learning system lifelong. What I'm working at the Schwab Academy at the moment on is how do we create yearly certification. If I'm an employer, let's say of Google or whatever it is, and you come to me and say, I have a PhD in, I don't know what, in artificial intelligence, and so I will ask, when did you get the PhD? And the answer may be 6 years ago. Then I will ask, what did you do in the meantime? This knowledge is completely out of touch with realities after 6 years. So I see the university system long term. Of course, you need a training, you need an education, but as I said, it should be mainly an education in capabilities and not so much in knowledge. And afterwards, I think universities should go into the direction of yearly certification. So if I have my employees, then I can ask them, did you do your certification for this year? And then I know he's up to date. If not, so those are the two directions. To repeat again, to go from learning for life to lifelong learning, and combined with certification, and instead of transmitting knowledge, to transmit much more the capabilities how to deal with the knowledge. And this is a fundamental change, and it will take some time, but universities which start now, and there are examples, Professor Mpedi, I think you have relations with, in my opinion, National University of Singapore is probably in the lead of preparing for such a new age. So those are the changes, but just to add, because the book is called Universities, Professors and Students in the Intelligent Age. So it means for professors also, they cannot be just transmitters of knowledge. They have to become coaches. If it's more the human dimension, you do not learn leadership and, let's say, human capabilities out of the book. You learn them through human interaction. So professors have to become coaches much more of their students, stimulating their students, and students should not be just absorbers of, let's say, lectures and what is. They have to be co-creators of knowledge. And now they have access to the latest knowledge at any time, so they should work together in groups and, of course, coached by the professors to create new knowledge. So it's a much more creative system, a much more interactive system, which I foresee for successful universities. And I'm sure the University of Johannesburg has the potential, particularly, you have one advantage. You students are much less caught in traditional thinking. I mean, if I take my university, my former university, the students were so much used to a specific pattern, but you have a young generation which is probably more open, so you can take a leadership.
Well, Prof. Schwab, we can't have this conversation without talking about the World Economic Forum and the great challenges of our time. You stepped down from the leadership of the World Economic Forum last year, after more than 5 years at the helm. What is the forum's irreplaceable value in today's world, and what evolution do you hope to see from it in the years ahead?
Let me first come back to the soul of the World Economic Forum. When I created the World Economic Forum at the age of 32, I was a young professor, the youngest professor in Switzerland, and I wrote a book. It was my first book, and you may recall at the time, no, you were not yet born, I'm sorry. I was fascinated by Milton Friedman, you know, Nobel Prize winner and so on. And he had written a comment in editorial in New York Times saying, the business of business is business. And everything which is social, you leave to the governments, they should regulate it. And I came to the conclusion, no, a company is not just an economic unit. It's part of society. So if you lead a business, you are not just responsible towards the shareholders, you are responsible towards all those who have a stake in the company. The stakeholders, I called it. So I coined this notion of stakeholdership. And it was stakeholdership different from shareholdership. Stakeholdership, you serve society, you serve all your stakeholders. In shareholder capitalism, your primary objective, as Milton Friedman said, is to serve the owners and the shareholders. So I wrote the book, and then I felt I should propagate this idea to serve society. And that's the reason why I created the World Economic Forum as a platform to let's say, develop this idea of stakeholder capitalism. Now, if I see the future of the forum, we still have to fight, particularly in our world today, for stakeholder capitalism. Because you see now tendencies, how shall I say, which reduce the priority really to, let me put it in a different way. I believe we always have to serve society first and second ourselves.
Wow.
And today I think the tendencies in the world are just going into the different direction.
Yeah.
So answering your question, I see this basic philosophy of the World Economic Forum to be more important, to be propagated in the future compared to today. One second remark. Of course, the forum was very often criticized for being elite. I feel by focusing on globalization, and I was, let's say, very often called the lead globalist or whatever. Globalization should not be a philosophy or an ideology. We are part of a global community. We are globally interdependent. And even if now some forces work again into the opposite direction, at the end, and artificial intelligence is just a good example, I think at the end we are globally interdependent. And if we are interdependent, it forces also us to work together. So the forum in the future, in my opinion, will be more needed than ever before.
Wow. Society first, ladies and gentlemen. A warm round of an applause.
Thank you.
As we slowly work towards the conclusion, slowly, I still have 3 more questions. We're almost at the end of our time. I hope we can accommodate them.
With pleasure.
Thank you. We can't conclude this conversation without talking about the amazing work that you and Madam Hilde Schwab are doing, with the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for the great work that you're doing. The foundation you launched in 1998. What was the founding impulse behind it? That is the foundation. And what has it achieved? And how do you see social entrepreneurship evolving in the intelligent age?
Yeah. I said before that Davos or the World Economic Forum, what is special about the World Economic Forum? It's an international organization which really brings together all stakeholders of global society. Government, business, civil society, science, because we feel the world has become so interdisciplinary, so you need the cooperation of all parts of society to address a specific issue. And artificial intelligence, again, is a key example for this notion. So in 25 years ago, Hilde, my wife, and I felt there's something missing when we are talking about multi-stakeholder cooperation. So people on the ground, so people who really are the social innovators and change makers. And we created this foundation separately from the forum to promote the notion of social entrepreneurship. At that time, I mean, I'm a friend of many of those, or I shouldn't say friend, but I know many of those tech entrepreneurs who have become milliardaires, billionaires, and Bill Gates, who is a friend since so many years, and so on and so on. But we felt people on the ground who really have improved the lives with very simple ideas, but with personal courage, they are not sufficiently known. So we created the foundation to find around the world every year the best social entrepreneurs, not just to honor them, but to show role models for other young people to imitate them. And I have to say, South Africa is a country which very much has developed this notion, not yet enough, but very much this notion of social entrepreneurship. We have fantastic social entrepreneurs. We did also some research. According to our research, which was published at the end of last year, there are 198,000 social entrepreneurs in this country. And I have to use this opportunity also to thank the Motsepe Foundation, because we have a very close cooperation with the Motsepe Foundation, not only for South Africa, but on a global level. Now, the last part of your question, how should social entrepreneurship develop? I think it's a young generation. So 2 aspects. The first one is, when we look at AI, we will see many jobs replaced by artificial intelligence. So we will have the World Economic Forum, under my leadership, created a yearly the Future of Jobs report, and you may go to the internet and see, and roughly we can say, and I'm speaking now more about the industrialized country, fully industrialized country, about 1/3 of, no, 1/4 of the jobs will become idle, not necessary anymore. And another quarter will require substantial upskilling to be still, let's say, to enable people to still be in the job market. So where do we create? We cannot have a society without jobs. Where do we have the needs? The needs are all the social areas. I mean, in the health care, in education, and so on. So we have to create many more social entrepreneurs. And so there's a fantastic opportunities. Young people today absorb those new technologies, again, AI, and you can I think there's a new category also of social entrepreneurs today which use the new technologies for the social good. In my 24 pages written speech, I had some examples of.
Please share that written speech. We'll share with
No,
the people.
I will, yeah.
We'll post it on the UJ website.
No, I put it on, I provided. But I know of one enterprise, I think it's, which has created a platform to facilitate much more the treatment of people with chronic diseases to get the prescriptions and so on. I think we have quite a number of people who are in the digital training area and so on. So my plea to the young people is, and I come back to something I said at the very beginning, have a purposeful life. It's not only money. Have a purposeful life. And I look at myself to a certain extent as a social entrepreneur, and Hilde, I think the biggest satisfaction in the world comes not from what I have done. I mean, if I look at us, when we talk much more about social entrepreneurship than we talk about the World Economic Forum, or as long as I was still the chair. So my plea is become social entrepreneurs. You may earn less money, but you may say one day, I had a very purposeful, a very satisfying, and a very impactful life.
Well, two last questions, Prof. Schwab. I know you have this personal connection with South Africa. I know, you did share this. You met Madiba, our beloved President Nelson Mandela. You met Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. You met F.W. de Klerk, and we talked also about, the miracle, the transition to democracy. And we didn't get to also sharing the challenges that we are facing, this high unemployment and all these challenges. And I was wondering, what is your prognosis, about South Africa? What are your views in terms of our challenges, especially, economic challenges and so on? I have to ask you, I doubt it if I'll ever get a chance to go to Davos, but they say never, say never. But if I go, you have stepped down, so I might not even, I don't know. But let me ask that question. Let me stop there. What are your thoughts on this? And then I want to also ask you to, please, I have to ask you this. What keeps you young, your personal reflection and this energy? I just turned 51, but I feel like My poor body has seen it all. I just want to just lie low now, and I shouldn't. And you talk about constructive optimism. I said two, now it's three questions. This notion of constructive optimism, I think, is the way to close, this session as a closing message to these great people who are in this auditorium and those that are joining us online. I'm sorry for doing this to you. Three questions. We can take them one by one.
Professor Mbedi, actually, there were many questions. But before, the first question was, why, or I certainly have a special relationship to this country. And I remember 1990, when I heard that Nelson Mandela was released. I immediately went into contact with him, and I was one of the first people who visited him in the, I don't know whether it still exists, the Shell House. So I visited him and discussing how this new South Africa could be presented to the world. And then in '92, among many, I hosted in my home, by the way, a confidential meeting which for the first time brought all the leaders of all political parties for an informal dialogue together in Geneva. And then in '92, I arranged, and it was the first, let's say, many people felt it was the first meeting on a global level, presenting the new South Africa with a panel discussion of Nelson Mandela, de Klerk, and Chief Buthelezi in Davos. And I will have to tell you a funny story here, if you allow me.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, of course it was a very, at that time it was a very sensitive issue. So I arranged that first de Klerk will speak because he was still the acting president, then Mandela, and then Chief Buthelezi. And we arranged the clear rules of protocol that nobody will speak more than 15 or 20, it was 15 minutes. And then President Klerk, at that time, he spoke his 15 minutes, and then Nelson Mandela took the floor, and of course he had so much to say. So it was 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and I had made promises to everybody. So I said, Mr. Mandela, I intervened in the midst of his speech and said it was a very important message to the world, but now we have to move on. And I had many contacts with him. You know, we had summits here. He came several times to Davos. We visited him. But every time I saw him, he said, "You are the man who dared to contradict me." But in a very friendly, more joke-like way. So that was one of my many dear memories I have. Second question for what I foresee for South Africa and Africa. I am optimistic because the intelligent age allows young people to be entrepreneurs in the material world, but also, as we just said, social entrepreneurs. And there is such a intelligent, hungry young population in South Africa and in Africa in general. So and the new technologies gives the opportunity to leapfrog. So and not to go through the usual stages, first to be industrialized and then to develop a more service-related economy and finally an intelligent economy. Now we can leapfrog today. So if today, that's another point, countries compete through systems. And it's not anymore a product competition or service competition. Those countries who have the best systems in place will be the winners of tomorrow. So if South Africa is capable to develop the best system to promote innovation, to promote entrepreneurship, it will have a big future. But to have such a system, and such a world system, comprises many different components, and education is a very important one, but there are other ones, of course, which also count. Finally, I would like to end maybe, and I come back. I'm stimulated with to this end in speaking about Nelson Mandela. I have met every leader in the world in the last 50 years. I think there are very few exceptions. But people always ask me, what is really leadership? And particularly leadership now in the intelligent age. And I say, of course, I have read, as a professor, I had to read many books about leadership, but it's very simple. It's only 5 things. It's soul, brain, heart, muscles, and good nerves. So you would ask, what does he mean? And soul means you have to have a mission in your life. You have to have a purpose in your life. And today it's even more important because the world is so complex, so, let's say, there are so many opportunities and so many dangers. So you have to know in which direction you go. The soul gives you the direction in your life. And second, you have to have brain, of course, but you have to have today a different type of brains compared to yesterday. Today, your brain has to work in a horizontal way, and not anymore in a vertical way. It's the capability to understand systems and to see how everything is interdependent inside the framework of a big system or different systems. So that's the brain. The heart, that means all what makes us human, empathy, love, and so on. And in a world which becomes much more material or much more intelligent, I mean, where algorithms replace our cognitive thinking, it's even more important to have the heart. And the muscles. I know many leaders who had those 3 things, but they lacked the muscles. The muscles stand for translating your beliefs, your mission, into action. And finally, you need the good nerves, you need the resilience. I mean, you're always confronted with obstacles and so on. So why do I mention this? at the end. It makes a reference to Nelson Mandela. I have this concept since quite a long time. And people ask me usually, can you tell me a leader who really incorporated all the 5 dimensions? And I say, practically the only leader who comes to my mind, I'm not saying it here, I'm saying it since many years, it's Nelson Mandela.
Wow.
Why was he so outstanding? He had a mission, he had the soul, he had the brain, he had the heart, he had the muscles, and of course, when you experience what he experienced, you have the resilience. Wow. So it's for me a great moment also to show my respect and my, let's say, to this great man of this country.
Wow. I'm not going to press you on what keeps you so young, Prof. I promise you are going to run on Swiss time. Now we're definitely on African time. Prof. Schwab, across every domain you have touched today, from artificial intelligence to global governance, from the crisis of trust to the art of aging, a single theme recurs: the conviction that the future is ours to shape, provided we choose to engage with it responsibly. This is what I picked. I was also excited, by the fact, by the point you made about, we talk about lifelong learning, and then you turn it around to
instead of learning for life,
lifelong learning. So we learn for life. We want to make and a living, so we must turn it around. Thank you for that correction. Thank you for half a century of that engagement and for continuing to challenge all of us to think, to lead, and to remain above all human. Ladies and gentlemen, human. That is extremely important. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Klaus Schwab, a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having had the patience to listen to me for such a long time. My wife usually doesn't have such a session. Yes. To live together with me for 55 years shows that she has patience, actually. But no, it was a great pleasure and honor, and I wish the University of Johannesburg all the best, and I'm sure it will be a great future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow. I'm sure all of us have really learned a lot, have been challenged. I don't want to say anything because should I say it, I might spoil the message. So I hope that you are writing down some notes, and there are some key concepts that you would think about again. Prof, I just want to ask the colleagues to give Prof. Schwab another round of applause. There's a man we don't actually ever give a round of applause, that we really need to do so, and that's our VC. He's the one who made this possible.
It's him who wrote to me, and I grabbed the opportunity.
No, Prof, it's really true. You are making the difference, because we would not, I mean, we knew he was there, but we would not have ordinarily made it such a great effort as our VC makes. His own personal lifestyle, his impact, the change he's bringing to this university are the ones that are making it possible for us today to boast around in our WhatsApp status messages that we have Prof. Schwab with us, and he's a man who made it possible. But thank you very much. Prof, I'm going to ask you to hand out the present.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. We don't give secret gifts here at UJ, so we take it out. Prof, we've got something small for you to take to Switzerland. I'll need somebody to help. Your Highness. This is handmade by a group of women. Is it northwestern part of Pretoria? Yeah, it's embroidery. It's called Mapula embroidery. It took months to make. It's hand-stitched. We gave them a brief about you, Prof, and then this is what they did to interpret the man, Professor Klaus Schwab. So it's all handmade.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
It's supposed to represent the fourth industrial revolution somehow. And then we said at UJ, so they added the UJ bit, Hupu bit. You see, we said there must be some UJ in between, so they added the UJ bit. You can see some old electricity somewhere and all that. It's all handmade and it's for you, Prof. It will be honored if you were to take this with you to Switzerland, Mrs. Schwab.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll have a very special place.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, and
Thank you.
we really appreciate the time you have spent. You were so quiet. I was looking at you, you were listening intently, and I'm impressed. But now we have come to the end of our session. We have asked that there will be ushers who are going to help us because we want the first 2-3 rows to leave out first before everybody else gets out to go outside. Yeah. Okay. Onathi, anything?